This is Joe's Corner 76. I discuss the human condition in all its phases. In order to change it, you have to be involved. Is Canada committing national suicide? I think so, slowly but surely. The first question I ask is, does Canada have a national identity? The consensus of our elite has been to condemn the idea of listing our values, let alone asking newcomers to respect and adhere to them. Trudeau has said there is no core identity, and he sees Canada as the first post-national state. A post-national state indicates that our national identity loses its importance relative to global entities and organizations. The free nation we have is worth preserving. Or should we be governed by global political organizations? Do you believe a nation state better protects your interests over a global government? Do you think we should stop and think about the core values Canada offers? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, acceptance of the different national groups that come to Canada, and tolerance for all. Should we not clearly state what our values are about and what we expect adherence to them? Should we not make it crystal clear what cultural practices we will not tolerate? There is no place in Canada for hatred against any group or violence towards any group. We clearly need to label which groups are terrorist organizations and stop allowing them to preach their brand of hatred or raise money in Canada to support them abroad. Should any of these people who are non-citizens be deported? Do you really think diversity is uniting us or splitting us into a nation of tribes, only fighting for their positions versus developing a united common nationality? Pierre Elliott Trudeau introduced the idea of diversity. It was not part of our national mosaic, which was to have all newcomers accept our system of tolerance, freedom, and our legal system. Diversity has split us into groups which vote in blocks. Our politicians pander to it. It's broken our country into a system of tribes. Canada will not survive unless we unite, adhere to common values for all Canadians. We no longer can afford to fund groups with taxpayers' money that seek to destroy our society. We should not change our whole society to accommodate every group's desires. Only you can change this. Do you agree with elitist groups trying to rewrite our history? This history is what forced us as a nation. We need to teach our history, good, bad, and ugly, that brought us to the free nation we are. We can't judge our entire history by today's standards. We would have made the same decisions based on the time they were made. Our young people need to know our history and the high price we paid for our freedom, so they don't think poppies should be worn since they glorify war. They need to know it's to remember so we appreciate what we have. Ask yourself, do you believe Canada is inherently racist? I don't. We have made mistakes, but we admit them as a society, and we are willing to change. I do not want to be judged by American or any other nation's history. Why is it these so-called experts on racial injustice not integrate to a freer society? Why do they seek government funding so they can educate us all on race theory? We need to stop all these training courses on racial injustice and apologizing for who we are. There are hate laws in the book to cover discrimination. We just need lawmakers to apply them using common sense. Our national cry has to be to judge everyone based on the actions, character, and their integrity, not skin color. I am tired of hearing a small minority of woke activists tell me this is a post-colonial oppressive society run by an oppressive patriarchy. Every society in the world was conquered, colonized, enslaved, and they moved on. These woke people live in one of the freest and most prosperous countries in the world. Our capitalist system has lifted more people out of poverty than any other. I want to see these socialist woke elites to try a few socialist paradises like China, North Korea, Russia, or Venezuela. Do you think they would last very long? Is it not time for the silent majority to say enough to this cancel culture? Freedom of opinion is for everybody, not just a certain group. Is Judeo-Christian heritage that produced the freest societies in the world not worth defending? Only you can regain the country we had. Do you believe we need a well-funded military instilled with pride to defend our national interests and protect our borders from sea to sea? Or should we underfund our military, not be able to fulfill our obligations to our allies with the hope that they will forever carry our load? You decide. Our allies no longer trust us. Do you think Canada is well regarded on the world stage where we had a great presence relative to our size? Or are we now a laughing stock as a country? Do you think we need a national referendum on our immigration policy? Should immigration be more restrictive until we have a chance to absorb the newcomers we have and are able to provide employment and adequate health care along with housing? Would we not be in a better position to serve the next group of newcomers? Do you feel that your freedom is being limited? Do you think we need legislation to tell us what we must call people? Are the people who ask for this justified in telling the majority they have to conform for a small minority? Do you want the government to tell you what you can publish and listen to? Do you think politicians and businesses should kowtow to these groups or state plainly that one law applies to all? I raise these points and others to ask you, is your freedom slip sliding away? Do you think our government's financial position is precarious? All of the combined federal and provincial debts are equal to 113% of our gross national product. It should be around 30%. We now pay more interest on national deficit than we do on healthcare. The government is still on a spend more, debt more mode. It's only getting worse. Will we become a banana republic? Is hope alive in Canada? Food bank use is at an all-time high. Rents and mortgages are double what they were. Young people don't believe they will ever be able to own a home. Our economy is barely above recession level. Our economy is not growing at the pace it should. We spend billions on education. What are we getting? Many graduates take courses that don't give them jobs based on their education. Should the universities work with industries, train students for the occupation society needs? Universities were set up as a forum for all opinions to be heard, without fear of being ostracized, or where speakers were banned because a small group said their opinions were oppressing them. The idea was to expose students to everything so they formed opinions on their own. We can't allow this to continue. Academic freedom must be restored. If gutless university administrators won't do this, we should defund these universities until they do. Carbon taxes have nothing to reduce emissions by, but they have caused economic loss and created national disunity. We need to sell our natural liquefied gas, which has half the emissions of coals overseas, so it can significantly reduce global emissions. The economic benefits of this would help our social and health programs as well as provide employment. We need to have a national consensus on renewable energy, with industry, the government, and economic experts to examine all the facts to get a workable plan. One person's obsession with green energy has and will do nothing to produce reliable green energy. I ask you again, do you think Canada is committing suicide? You can hear me on Spotify and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Joe's Corner 76. If you enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends that we have many more, and you can hear them on Spotify and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76.